All right. Well, happy day that Zoom and Facebook are playing nice together again, which makes me super happy. Welcome to all of you who are joining us on both the Facebook live stream and the Zoom webinar. I have a cough drop in my mouth right now. I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute, but I thought, oh gosh, I need to take that out so that everyone can hear me okay. But that's one of the things I've learned. The greatest gifts in this whole experience is self-compassion. And thank God I had been practicing it before all of this happened. So as I was preparing for this discussion today, I had these high hopes of having a slide deck, and I was going to have all of these things ready so I could really make sure my points were made clearly and the questions were being answered that I keep getting from all of these people. And this morning was just like, that's not the most important thing right now. The important thing is just show up and do what Eric and I agreed to do initially, which was continue the conversation we started earlier this week for his series, the coronavirus support series. And I'll have him share a little bit more about that in a minute. And again, thank God I did that, because it gave me the space to, while I was going to the bathroom, and I'm going to be really transparent with you all this morning, I check email when I pee. I'm sure many of you do that too. Many of us have done that for a long time, but this has been really extraordinary circumstances. So happened to look down, and I was looking for a video to have some humor this morning. And my dear friend, Paul Ossencup, who's going to be with us and sharing some things this morning, had talked about a video about dry shampoo. And I've used dry shampoo a couple times. It kind of feels like concrete going on my hair. Donna, I'm sure we could have a good laugh about that. But he had mentioned this video and how funny it was about these women kind of bonding over dry shampoo. I only got about
to me to be an expert on dry shampoo.
That's right. So I found the video. I'm watching it for a little bit. And as keeps happening to me lately, of course, I have 20,000 ideas of things I could or should be doing right now. But because I was there, I happened to see a Facebook post pop up, and, it always gets my attention because it'll say like, so-and-so tagged you, and then so-and-so commented. And I'm like, well, what are they commenting about that someone said about me? It's such a weird experience. And especially with our AATH group, which is the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, of which Paul Ossencup is our very beloved president. And so there was a video, and someone had tagged me in his video. And I think it was probably the third or fourth time that someone had tagged me in his video. And it was like, why is someone tagging me in this darn video? So I went ahead and watched it. Oh my gosh. 10 seconds in, just like I did with this second video I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, I went out to my husband on the couch, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but we have to watch this together because this is extraordinary. It was so well done and so freaking funny. And John and I looked at each other, and we both had the same thought, which was, there's no way he could do something better than that song. What was the song that you sang, Paul, that we had you do at the conference?
I sang Fight Song by Rachel Platten, but I did it in 16 different voices of characters. So yeah. So
there's that. We'll have someone here. I think I saw Sporty. Someone here share in the chat on the Zoom link, and we'll make sure someone in Facebook could do that as well. Share the link, but don't go now. Like, don't leave because you need to stay in this meeting. But afterwards, go watch that too. It is hysterical. And then he did it live for us at our conference, which I thought was impossible. So anyway, we didn't think you could, top that, Paul. And this was just extraordinary. So anyway, I invited him to be on, and we're actually going to start with that for two reasons. Number one is it just so ties in with what we're here to talk about today. Number two, because we know the power of healthy humor. It helps the brain learn. It helps the messages land. And especially during stressful circumstances, I want to do that all really as a gift for all of us to experience that together. And then Eric and I are going to talk for a little bit about how this idea came to be. And really, I give all credit to him for this concept. And at some point, I will share with everyone this little segment of our pre-recording discussion that we had when he said the words virtual first responder. And I smiled at first, and then it literally looks like my eyeballs are going to pop out of my head of this, like, holy, that's exactly what, I mean, I so connected with that. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And he's been so gracious to just walk alongside me in that and support what we're doing. So take all of that and then wrap it up at the end, and we will make sure we save time for this, for one of the most extraordinary videos I have ever seen. Just when I thought the tears were done for the day, Donna Orender sends me a text message saying, hey, what are you up to? Let me know when you're up. I want to share an idea with you. And she didn't know, even though it was 7:30, I'd been up for 3 hours already, which is kind of the new norm. Better than yesterday. I stayed in bed longer, but so she shared this video, and again, bawled like a freaking baby. And everyone who's here, you're gonna be so inspired, so moved by this. And as Donna is such a master at doing, she doesn't just inspire and motivate us and make us feel loved. She calls us to take action. And so there's a special little thing I want to make sure that everyone actually does. And you're going to want to anyway. You're just going to be so excited at how she's put all of this together. And it actually even goes back, Paul, to our conversation today about first responders and healthcare practitioners in such a beautiful way. So just quickly before we do that, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You all who've been here with me before know that typically I spend a lot of time, giving shout outs and saying hi and keeping an eye on chat and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be too hard, and I have too much stuff I want to share with you today. So if you have a specific question as we go along, please, if you're on Zoom, type it in the Q&A box. That way it will flag me that there's a specific question. If I know we're not going to get to it, I will make sure to answer it at the end. If we don't have time, I will do another video or send you a note and answer it that way. It just helps us really pace ourselves. And I see Sammy sending me a little note here. And so Sammy as well, if you have something and it's like something I need to say, put it in Q&A and I'll see that it's from you. But good reminder, anyone who's on Zoom, please make sure you set your chat setting to all panelists and attendees. I'm actually going to do it now as well. Otherwise, a lot of times it defaults to just panelists, and then we get to see your chat, but the other people do not. So with that, I want to start with you, Paul, and maybe just quickly give those here who don't know who you are. I think everyone does, but let's just pretend they've been living under a rock and haven't seen your awesome work. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what prompted you to do this video.
Well, yeah, my work, I'm a humor and positivity strategist. And so I work a lot with organizations in helping to create happier, healthier, more connected workplaces. But I'm also president of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And, during this time, like a lot of people who do what I do, it's all of a sudden I'm essentially unemployed, and aside from now switching a lot of things to webinars. But both my sisters are nurses, and being at home, and I think a lot of people feel helpless. It's like, what can I do right now to help? And there's really not a lot you can do. And so I thought, well, what am I good at? Hey, I'm good at making people laugh. And so if I can temporarily relieve some people's concerns, then I would love to be able to do that. And I also tried to throw in a bit of an educational message in there as well. So that's that.
I love that.
And if you like it, I'd love, share it wherever. It's on all the major social platforms under my name.
Yeah.
I'm the only Paul Osmond in the world, so
Are you
easy
talking
to
about
find.
the one you just did? No, we're doing it right now. We're watching it together. And the one you just did, we're watching together now. But the reason I just got a little distracted is I just complimented the Zoom Facebook. It's not working. So give me 1 second. Let me see if I can connect this while we're going at it. Everyone just take a nice deep breath and think about the beach or a stress monkey. And if we don't connect it immediately, I'm just going to have John go in and just let them know. We will share the recording with them. So sometimes it works. It actually was. And then it looks like it dropped us. So
I can hear you just fine. Your mouth is a little slower than your words, but that might just be my connection. I don't know if it's everybody else.
Could be that. I know last time, in fact, it's letting me try this again. So let me give this a shot. But the mental health webinar that we did yesterday, let me just type this in, virtual first responders. The mental health webinar that we did yesterday, I did the same thing. I got in super early, got it all connected, had it actually on Facebook Live first before it started streaming on Zoom. So I was there giving people this, like, you know, behind the scenes access. By the way, it looks like it's saying preparing, so we'll give it a minute and see if it works. And then all of a sudden, literally 30 seconds before we were supposed to start, my internet dropped me. So I fell off the Facebook Live and the Zoom, and fortunately was able to kind of regroup quickly. So here we go. Looks like it's going to work. Go live anyway. There we go. Happy campers. And then let's see. Looks like we're good now on Facebook Live. So good news is we're doing a little bit of backup story there. I've got Facebook Live in front of me, so hopefully I will see this. I see that we're there. Awesome. For those of you just joining us on Facebook Live, we didn't miss much, but we will be sending out the recording to everyone, so you will get that intro that I just did. We just started talking with one of our panelists for today, Paul Osenkup, who's the president of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And I invited him to actually kick us off by sharing a video that I was on my way to go pull up. I'm going to do that now. And the reason is because I want to watch it together and have that experience. And let's just make sure that my computer is going to play nice. Paul, do you happen to have that up or easily available? I think you're on your phone, right?
No, I was going to be, but I'm actually on my computer. So
Okay.
yeah, I can.
Let's see. Why don't we both try it right now? I am going to YouTube. It just seems that, oh, I think it's going to work for me.
Okay.
All
I've
right.
got it if you need it.
Osenkup. And I finally figured out how to spell your name right. It only took me like 5 years. Oh, there it is. All right, hang on, you guys. I'm just pulling this up here. Oh my gosh. Oh, wait. Stop. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you guys access. This is so good.
You're overhyping it.
Oh, no, because
you gotta say,
it's I'm also going to give you guys what could be a scary peek at my desktop here. So let's see.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's a portion. And I mean, you guys are all virtual first responders, so you know we have to be gracious with ourselves when everything doesn't work exactly right. That said, here's a note for everyone who hasn't done this as often. Make sure you click the button that says share computer sound before you click share. And what's going on with that guy right there? So that's weird. It looks like it's working. Can you guys see my YouTube?
It's all black for me. It says it's started sharing, but now it's just, oh, there it is.
How about now? Man, weird. Yeah. All right, so we've got it now. Okay, enjoy.
Busted. This is a game for the docs and nurses working so hard trying to reverse this COVID-19 getting out of control, and some people still can't stay at home. Okay, Smarty, go to a party instead of 6 feet, you're touching the body. Now, back to mom's house for the semester, you look like a jerk because you're gonna infect. Next press conference, VP migrants, Dr. Fauci making no more sense. Says stay home to flatten the curve, and if you try to eat out, you won't get served. So at home, you're pacing, heart is racing. Can't believe the news that you're facing. Should I hold toilet paper, sanitizer, and food? No need to panic, man. Trust us, dude. It's justice, dude.
You don't want to put your loved ones at risk, particularly the ones who are elderly and the ones who are in compromised conditions. We can't do this without the young people.
You're on a mission and your wishes. Someone can feel this whole condition. What can I do to help Dr. Fauci? Chill at home and just stay on your couch. G. From frustration, first inclination is to isolate in this situation. But every dark tunnel has a light at the end, so Zoom video chat with your family and friends. New movie showing, so you're blowing through your list of clips with Luke and Owen. Haven't moved in a week, belly starting to grow, and then your Spotify photo walking out your room. She's dressed in yellow. She says hello. Stay 6 feet from me if I fell. Social distance thing is really crushing your groove. Well, please stay home and trust me.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people, where in circumstances where there are crowds, you remove yourself from very close contact.
All right.
Live applause.
Live applause. Wasn't that extraordinary? I turn my volume down. Let me stop. Now you guys see my desktop, right? There we go. So extraordinary. Love that so much. Sammy just shared in our chat there on Zoom, and one of you, Sammy or John, maybe you guys could share in Facebook Live as well. I love that so much. And Paul, because I was trying to get that all pulled up and working, did you share with us ahead of time what prompted that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it mostly just wanting to do something, feel like I'm contributing somehow to helping people through this. I mean, there's a lot of humor online right now. And I think people are using it to be able to cope and express themselves and that kind of thing. And so to me, I just wanted to add to that rather than pass another piece around that had already been. I just wanted to create something. And so that's where it came from. And also just creative outlet for me as work dissipates a little bit. So
I appreciate that. What I told you when I called you this morning is I appreciate that you also took a step back to be really thoughtful about what you were putting out, and you did it, really obviously showcasing your talent as a comedic writer, and your craft that you've studied, and developed over time, but then also like what's going to be most helpful for people and how do I do it in a positive way? And that's so much of what we talk about at AATH is applied and therapeutic humor. So how do we use it in a way that's going to be uplifting instead of like bullying and what we see so often with humor? And there's been a contagious effect. So I just wrote an article this morning about positively contagious, and there's more to that story as well, but that's what I was thinking about, is watching what's happening within our community. I mean, many of you guys saw John and I did a spoof public service announcement about social distancing when living with a senior citizen, which he happens to be. And I would never have done something like that. I did for my friend Dave Rendall, he's doing this thing called Bed Talks, which is like TED Talks, but you do them in bed, and I was like in my pajamas. Like, I would never do that. Donna, you've got to do one. Eric, you've got to do one. Paul, you got to do one. So yeah, we'll connect all of you guys. So anyway, seeing that and the effect of that, no doubt has personally helped me. So I feel like you guys have become like virtual first responders for me, and my doctor has been, my family has been, and so on. So I'm going to get to Eric here in just a moment and kind of share again a little bit more about where this came from. I do want to say, and I hadn't planned on sharing this, but I just kind of was thinking about it as all of these things are coming together, that many of you in our community know that I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, and I've been traveling and kind of pushing through that. And when I say push through, it makes me laugh a little bit thinking of Sue Stevenson, because that's kind of her theme of a project she's working on right now. So I called my doctor a couple weeks ago when this all first happened, because we had been quarantined in Los Angeles and Pepperdine had gone virtual for the PhD program I'm in right now. Of course, I'm teaching Harvard course virtually, and we were supposed to be in person anyway. So doing classes online wasn't new for me. Being in a hotel in Los Angeles was kind of weird, because it's like, well, we were there to be in class with my colleagues, and I was so looking forward to that. But I couldn't come home either because I had to fly from LA to San Francisco. So I called my doctor and told him what was going on. And I wasn't 100% honest with him, because I was trying to justify my continuing to go to work. And I had made a comment even on social media about, don't judge me because I'm sick, because I was starting to see people react to me if I coughed or did something. I mean, still, trust me, I do it anyway. I wash my hands, I keep a distance from people. I, have vitamin C, I eat healthy, I stopped drinking alcohol. I mean, I know how to navigate this. So I was doing all of those things, and I got worse, and then I got better, and then I thought I was better, and I went for a run, and I think I reactivated it. And I'm still struggling. And so the only reason I'm sharing that now is because I feel like it's also important what Eric and I are going to talk about taking care of ourselves first. And with all the opportunity that's happening right now, it's like really hard for me to sleep because there's so many great opportunities to help people. And my work is more in demand than it's ever been before. And I'm so grateful for that. So I want to, get all this work done and get it out there. And I feel responsible to quickly respond to all the emails and all the requests. But I communicated with my doctor yesterday and shared with him the whole story. And he said that he would say that I most likely do have the virus. And of course, I'm keeping him updated. I am 100% confident I will be better than before. I'm not worried about my health. I haven't been around people for a long period of time. And of course, I've been making good decisions on that. Again, I didn't want to share it because there's no reason to be worried. We get sick and we get better, and I'm going to get better. The reason I wanted to share it is especially for us in this community, we all really have to put our own oxygen mask on first. And I guess by being vulnerable, and I'll get emotional a few times, but by being able to say that, I reflect on the worst part of this for me is not that I physically, have these symptoms, but the guilt and shame I feel about trying to do my work. It's a weird situation. So self-compassion has never been more important, and friends and family and colleagues has never been more important. And we can still do that virtually. So what's been extraordinary to me is in that conversation, and just so people know, I mean, this is something we also have to make sure people understand. As much as my family is saying, well, we want you to get tested because we want to know for sure, I would not do anything different. I'm already doing everything right. I already have the support team. My doctor emphasized again with me immediately. Dr. Lee Rice, by the way, is just such a saint. He has been with me for the last 10 years, emotional support, physical support, all of it, and was at my wedding and everything. And he said, you're doing the right things. Thanks for everything you're doing to help other people. But the testing in San Diego is still way too unavailable and unpredictable and unreliable to request that you get a test. So please keep me updated. And so we're watching everything you guys are hearing, everything even in the funny video that Paul shared, keep an eye on fever, keep an eye on your breathing. Essentially what it feels like to me is that I have a really bad case of asthma. I struggled with some asthma when I was in college. And so it's that sensation that's just weird. And my head says, push through it and get out there. And what I said to John before I went for a run was, I feel like if I go run, it'll just, whatever's in here will just circulate and I'll just cough it up and I'll be fine. And that's not apparently how this works. So just before we got started, Eric said something about the pace he's been keeping. And I mean it more than I've ever meant it before. I've always said we have to be responsible for the energy we bring to the time that we have. I've always said we lead best by being a role model in our actions. I've never meant that more than I do right now. And that said, I said, please tell me you're going to slow down. I'm committed to slowing down. I'm putting less on my plate. That also means I can't answer all the questions. I can't respond to all the emails as much as I would like to. So my pace is slowing down. I'm taking the weekend off. And so I just wanted to put that out there and really encourage everyone who's here, who's trying to help other people, to be kind to yourself, practice self-compassion. And I'll also just quickly, before I turn it over to Eric, say thank God as well for all the amazing colleagues I have at the Brain Health Initiative, Dr. Joan Rosenberg and her book and her, support over the years has really taught me that it's okay to feel what we feel. And the first reason I started crying this morning is, honestly, I'm just tired of feeling like I'm trying to keep this to myself. And it just felt better to cry about it and say, I know I'm going to be fine. I am not afraid. But I'm just tired of trying to act like when I cough, there's nothing wrong. It's like, you know what, something's not right, and that's okay. And I feel tired, and that's okay too. Like, let's all just embrace that and support each other in taking care of ourselves. So when Eric invited me to join him for this coronavirus support series, which you can all imagine how much humor I'm getting out of the fact that I was one of the first called by Entrepreneurs Organization to do a webinar for their chapters in Asia. It was a Friday night, and I did a webinar for them on managing stress in the midst of a crisis. And I was sick, but I felt okay about that because I was doing it virtually. So, you know, here I am doing that, and Eric reaches out, and I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. Of course I want to do this. Eric is just a rock star in getting his message out, and I'll let him just give everyone a quick summary of his background as well. But when he asked, it just wasn't a question. It's just like Donna and Paul and those closest to me, where it's like, just tell me when and what, and I'm there. We'll figure it out as we go. And we did. And before we started recording, he mentioned this concept, and you know, he asked me a little bit about how I was doing, and we went back and forth, and he said, you know, what I've realized is I've become a type of virtual first responder. And he just said that and kept talking. And at some point I'll share with you guys this little clip of video, because I was recording it on my side just to make sure that I got my speaking points. Because that is one thing too, by the way, for everyone who's here. If you are going out and you are speaking on this and you're doing trainings on this, I used to never do this. Record everything, double record it, because you can transcribe it, and then you've got your key points. I have people sometimes say something to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And they're like, yeah, you just said that. I didn't hear that. Like, I just, okay. So, so that's helpful for us. So then we can, you know, show up for something and even just have key messaging and key points, and we don't get the same stress of like, will I have the right thing to say? That said, I would never use it probably because I never run out of things to say, but it can just help us with our confidence and our effort and our energy, essentially. So anyway, I was recording this, and I went and talked to John, my husband, afterwards, and just said, I had the most extraordinary conversation. I'm so glad that Eric and I are getting this chance to work together. We've been talking about doing it for a long time. And I said, he brought up this concept, and he said, virtual first responder. And I just had John watch, and he said to me, oh my gosh, it looks like your eyes just popped out of your head and came back when he said that. And I said to him, you know why? Because he and I have been working on this program, and the company that he's invested all of his financial resources and time and energy in life-saving advice. And we have a program called Fit for Emergency. We've been trying to get disaster recovery people trained on this kind of integrative energy management modality. So it's like, this is not new what we're doing, but it just all of a sudden hit me like a ton of bricks that the time is now to see how we can fast track some practitioners to get ready to go out there, especially those who already have the training. And those of you who've been invited specifically by me and by some others who are here, we're inviting you because you've already done a lot of the work to have the knowledge and the wisdom, hopefully through, you know, self-practice, to now use this platform to really help people, especially over the next few months. We know that there's going to be a new normal. We don't know what it's going to look like yet, so we still have to be very patient with that. There is, as I was telling Paul, there is more opportunity to serve right now than ever before. So we need to check ourselves too when we see people doing great things and we get that little twinge of like, oh, I wish I came up with that. Or, you know, I wish I did Paul's hysterically funny video. I wish I did Donna's amazingly touching video, you know, all of those types of things. Or we join forces and realize that we can't do it alone. We have to be better together, and now more than ever before. Even this, you know, initially was going to be something I was going to do, and I thought one friend, and then two of them just busted a move, and I had to have them here with me. Same thing happened with our mental health webinar a couple days ago, where I felt overwhelmed trying to carry the weight of how many people were now going to be attending this webinar. And so I reached out to two of my best friends, Evian Gordon and Shelley Carson, and of course they joined, and we had a blast. And I could never have given that quality of content in the way that happened when all three of us were together. So essentially that's what this is as well. And I know people, in fact, I just happened to glance down at my Facebook, and then I'm not going to do it again. And it's for this reason. Sue Stevenson is one of those people who's a dear friend of mine, and she is always a first responder. This woman used to live down she still lives down the street. She used to live down the street from me at a house. Now she lives across the harbor from me in a boat, which is so cool for her because I couldn't do that. But she's the person that always has her bag packed just in case there's a crisis. And it's not for her, it's for what she can do for others. So I know people are already asking, how do I get involved with this? This is where I'm going to ask you for just a smidge more time. And I will, before this is done, tell you the plan that I have in mind and how we're going to rally the troops to be effective and efficient together. So when I say give me some time, I don't mean give me time to figure it out. That's done. In fact, we have grant proposals already out to get funding, and we have companies asking us to be part of it. So this is real. This is going to be sustainable, but I need a little bit more time so that I can communicate the ideas in a way with the leadership team and have that established. And I have more support now with the business and get that established. And Eric, I know you can totally relate to how we have to set ourselves up for success when things like this happen. So let me flip it over to you now and just share a little bit about your background and your journey and how this concept came to you, and then maybe any tips that you have for people.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for putting this together, and thanks everyone for jumping on. It's unprecedented times. I want to begin, because this is what I'm doing as a virtual first responder. I want to give you something really very pertinent. And when you were sharing, Heidi, what you're going through, a lot of us have gone through this. When everyone was sick back in December and January with this weird thing, we didn't know what it was in February. Well, Oxford research just suggested that this pandemic is in later stages than previously thought, and estimates that the virus has already infected at least millions of people worldwide. And I 100% agree. In the United Kingdom, which the study focuses on, half of the population would have already been infected. So if accurate, that would mean the transmission began around mid-January, and the vast majority of cases presented mild or no symptoms. So what does that mean? It means that if we literally have had millions of people infected, that really puts the death rate into perspective right now, because all we're seeing are confirmed cases in people at advanced stages. So when I started...
For 1 second and say, yeah. I know that's landing with everyone right now. Let's make sure we get the link to that when we have time. I want to make we're not rushing. Turn. I just literally turned my phone on, was like, I have to call my dad. I'm not going to do it right now. We have time. But
Oxford, I mean, we could search.
And the symptoms are similar. And I have friends that have even passed away earlier this year. And it's like, that seemed weird that took them out, that they just had bronchitis, or it's just very interesting. And
and it's interesting because even though the data we have on the flu is because I'll tell you, I got the flu this year, and so did my kids, but we didn't go to the doctor, so we're unreported cases. Imagine the hundreds of millions of people that didn't. Really puts the flu statistics into perspective. So I'm telling you, I was really overwhelmed with this. And kind of like Paul, I appreciate you sharing what you did and doing what you're doing, but I want to correct you in a very friendly way. You have the ability to do something. And that's why I initiated this thing, because look at what you've done, and look how your funny video has been a catalyst to give peace and joy, but put things into perspective. Now is the time where we realize that through this internet phenomenon that we can be first responders. And for people that have that first responder mentality, you feel trapped, you feel isolated, you might be angry, overwhelmed, frustrated that you don't feel like you could do anything. It's exactly what happened to me. Because I would love to have been on the front lines helping people. I would love to have done anything that I could have done, but I'm stuck at home. And so I was just overwhelmed. No other word to say. Beside myself with overwhelm, with being woken up in the middle of the night, feeling anxious and angry and all these different emotions, frustrated that I couldn't do anything. And it dawned on me, I have the ability to do something that, quite frankly, very few people can do. Because I'm uniquely positioned in this online digital marketing world to mobilize just millions, literally millions of people through the network that I have. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's put on a telesummit. Let's put on a podcast, and let's make it completely free, completely ungated, meaning no barriers, no opt-in required, no sales. Let's give. And it was like that night I was able to sleep, and I'm a sleeper. And I share this with Heidi. I don't get hangry. I get sleep anger if I don't get my 8 hours plus. And for me not to sleep for 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, it was just, I believe as a Christian, it was just divine inspiration that I needed to do what I had available. And then I literally felt working around the clock, because this is what you do as a first responder. And I get it, self-care is important, but all the doctors out there putting in 72-hour work shifts, you have to do what you have to do. And I felt working around the clock. So I started not obsessing, but I started to very programmatically researching and connecting all these little dots like this Oxford study. And I was committed to giving people information. I literally just got a post, just checking it now on my Facebook page. I have a Dr. Eric Z fan page with about 215,000 people or so. And one woman just responded to that Oxford post and said, Dr. Z, you're the only one that I trust to give me COVID information. And so that is really, to me, the onus and the responsibility and the accountability that I feel, that I have hundreds of thousands of people on my email list and through my social media channels and my website looking to me for trusted information. And so I took it on as a first responder. I took it very seriously. I started to disseminate information. I can't give enough information to people. And quite frankly, Heidi and I are part of a group of people that, a network and health professionals that a lot of them are traditional first responders. And I think we need to kind of categorize that. We have traditional first responders in the physical sense, and we have now virtual first responders. And we've gotten a little pushback. We've gotten a little pushback of people diminishing really and not accepting what it is that we're trying to do here, because the bottom line is just because you are stuck at home doesn't mean you have to be useless. And feeling useless to me is one of the worst feelings I've ever experienced, because this situation is way out of my control. No petition is going to change it. No phone call to my governor is going to change it. Nothing anyone can do can stop this inertia. It's a global thing. So when you sit back, you have a choice and you realize, well, I can't do anything about it. Let me just hope to God that I'm okay. And let me just deal with that anxiety. Or you flip the switch and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do something. And I'm going to mobilize myself in a way that I could help others. And regardless of who you are, what you do, what your skill sets are, you have the ability to support and help others. And the true definition of a first responder is someone who runs towards an event and a problem to be a solution, not someone who runs away. And because of all these different technological advances we have with Lives and Facebook and YouTube and Zoom and all these things, we could do so much. So that's really was the impetus to this whole thing. And it dawned on me, and I was just overwhelmed with just this flood of love and light and peace. Like, okay, I got something to sink my teeth into. And so the overwhelm, the anger, the frustration shifted into passion and purpose that we are live. I mean, we're going live any minute now when it comes to the podcast. There's a lot of things from a marketing perspective, a lot of censoring going on with anything COVID related, but people can go to coronavirussupportseries.com to get the stream of interviews, and Heidi's interview is the #2 show that we're featuring after our welcome to what we're doing here. Heidi's talk was so powerful. It brought me, her meditation literally brought tears to my eyes, and I felt such an overwhelming flood of peace and comfort. And this is the type of experience we're trying to give people the support that they need right now, not top 10 ways of using essential oils to fight viruses. People don't need that stuff right now. They need to learn how to cope through the stress, the anxiety, how to manage working at home and having children and feeling isolated, feeling alone, the trauma that's happening. And so there's another thing, and I'll end with this. We all talked about post-traumatic stress disorder, and I actually have an expert I'm going to be interviewing in just a few minutes, and I have to jump off at 1:00 Eastern. But I'm going to be talking about suicide prevention and post-traumatic stress, because people are literally taking their lives. A nurse in Italy just took her life because she was infected with the virus, and she was so afraid of giving that because Italy got absolutely hammered, devastated. And a young teenage girl in America just took her life because she was afraid of this. If millions of people have been infected, which I wholeheartedly believe, myself included, my children, it's not as dangerous as it's made out to be. And so we're trying to help. We're trying to carry that burden. We're trying to bring peace. So this support series is bringing people to help, give you practical tools, how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of your health, how to take care of your life, your finances. We're going to talk all kinds of things to help with the little things that people take for granted. And the reality is, like Heidi shared, we could do this together, and we have to mobilize everyone.
That is beyond powerful. I just had to text my husband for the third time to ask him to bring me something. The first one was my vitamin C water, but then I asked him to bring me a napkin because that is so powerful, and also so divinely inspired that Donna would reach out to me this morning and send me the video that she shared. And I know all of us could chat about this for so long, and I want to make sure that we share her video, and if we have time, either continue the conversation with us or even open it up for some questions. Before I do that, though, I mean, just such a perfect example is, I mean, even this, my husband has been so incredible that this makes some people laugh, especially my dad, but I always joked that I needed someone like my stepmom to marry to take care of me, and never thought I'd find that. It took me 43 years, but I did. And he's cooking, cleaning, bought us an elliptical machine. I just texted him to bring me a napkin. It's like he's virtually first responding to me right now, and that's really awesome. But then also I see in the chat, just I'm not paying attention to what's being said, but I just happened to see something pop up that Paul Osenkup just shared your Facebook page so that everyone could get access. So it's that other piece of like why I love doing it this way is, hey, you talk, let me regroup for a second and figure out what I need to do. I can pull up the link to Donna's video, and Paul's sharing the link to that. Sammy, who's been amazing, is, you know, virtually providing support and sharing links and comments. I saw Arch, I saw your name pop up a couple times, and he's so great at like, here's what's landing and putting those, you know, comments back out. Even that stuff, when we share what's happening that's positive, we're first responding, right, in a positive way. So with that, I have pulled up this video by Donna. Donna, before I share your video, would you just share a little bit about your background and what prompted this, please?
Oh, sure. And listen, this is so impromptu, and yet, you know, you just talked about like this divine intervention, Eric, and I kind of feel that's the way it is. We have a Zoom call. I have the privilege and the pleasure to have helped create, among many, and Heidi jumped on early, a not-for-profit community called Generation W. And it's about educating and inspiring and connecting, which is, I believe, the true superpower, women, girls, and men to community, right? It's in the service of building great communities. And in the service of that, we have thousands and thousands of women and men who love us and support healthier worlds. We've been working on lots of ways for us to reach out and do what you do. In a sense, you know, maybe we are first responders, but I also live in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a huge medical community. We have one of the Mayo clinics here. We have Baptists. We have thousands and thousands of healthcare workers. And we had the same conversation every morning. There's 9 of us on our screen. We think we're the Brady family. And it's like, what can we do? How can we be of best service to our neighbors, our family, our friends, to our greater community? All the questions that you've all talked about. And then Heidi, all of us say, okay, do we have symptoms? Every day we're like, okay, does anyone have a symptom? Because you watch it so much, right? Everyone, you all think, oh my God, I coughed, it must be it. Because it's all around us. So while we're waiting for the symptoms, and Heidi, we're all with you and love you. And yes, I wrote down what you said, right? You said, this gives us greater opportunity to serve. You get sick, you get better. You will be better. Although, guys, I would have to say, how does Heidi get any better than she already is?
She's top. I love you.
Anyway, so with this, all of this brainstorming, what we do is we create lots of great content, and especially focus, we do a lot of video work, Paul. And we were talking about the warriors on the front line, right? The first responders. We do a lot of work with a company called Firehouse Subs. I don't know if it's all the way in San Diego. It might be, but it's an unbelievable sandwich shop. I think there's thousands of them across the country, founded by firemen here locally.
Yes, we do have that here. I have seen those. Yeah,
we do a lot with them on their first responders. This year, by the way, just a little tidbit, Dr. Eric, you might want this for all of your facts, but it is the 500th birthday, your birthday of Florence Nightingale. So this year we're in the process of doing a tribute to nurses. Hello. And so it's like, what can we do? We convene, we connect, we create emotional connection. We lift people up. And so we decided to build behind this hashtag of healthcare warriors and invite everyone to thank healthcare warriors with us by holding up a sign or a picture of themselves and doing it. And this was the video that emerged from that discussion that one morning with all of the girls, the women at Generation W.
That's amazing. All right, I'm going to show that video for all of you right now. Give me just a moment. And by the way, if the screen goes black, don't worry, it will come back. It keeps wanting me to share my settings. Like, I haven't done this a million times with you already, computer. I will take this moment to say what I say often. If you claim to be a stress expert,
Hey, Heidi, can I say something quick while you do this? Can you guys hear me? I think.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hey, Deb, thank you so much. Deb Hart is this 35, I can't even pronounce this, thanatologist, death education, grief, and bereavement facilitator. Hey, I'm going to go put a link, and I got to bounce in just a couple minutes, everyone. I'm going to go put a link to apply to be a speaker. We've had nearly 100 applications in the matter of just a few days. Anything that anyone has as an expertise to give, to serve, we created a platform that I believe will easily reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions. That's just what we do in my little space. And so, Deb, I'm going to put for you specifically, because this is a topic that we need. And anyone else, Paul, Donna, if you want to participate, please apply. I'm going to put the link in the chat here. And I really appreciate you all being willing to give and to serve and to love with the gifts that you have, because people need this information.
Absolutely. Okay. You have the video, Heidi.
you guys are awesome. Yeah, and I don't know if you could hear anything I was saying. I said if you claim to be a stress expert, you have to get really good at being able to handle things when they don't go well. And then literally all of a sudden I could tell no one could hear me anymore. So it was like, wow. Okay, but you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. I'm going to start this over because I want everyone to get the whole thing. All right, here we go.
Hospitals all across the country are battling this virus and preparing for it to get worse.
Anxiety, frustration, and a sense of duty. Those are some of the emotions being felt by healthcare workers on the front lines.
Okay. So we're back, and I'm sure it won't come as a surprise that I was just blown away when Donna sent that to me. And Paul and I just talked about that too, because he said that two of your sisters are nurses, Paul?
Yeah. Two out of two.
2 out of 2.
Yeah.
100%. My really great friend, Heidi, I call her Heidi number 1 because she was born first. Heidi James, her daughter's a nurse, and she's out there right now here in San Diego. And of course, we actually look at where the cruise ships come in. So we're having cruise ships come in and unload, at a slow pace. I'm so touched by that. And for people who are asking, yes, please share. I have posted a link to that YouTube video here for those of you on Zoom, and have asked Sammy to share that with those of you on Facebook. I also wanted to share with you, I had started to kind of do my own little creation there. And those of you who know me will know why I love this so much, but this is the one I did.
Oh, that's so, oh, there's my, I keep a monkey in my car, just so you know.
Yes.
It's right there, I can always squeeze it.
So my little stress monkey, and last year I had him and talked about this at the Gen W conference, and I did a session called Beyond Funny. In fact, I'll even share that with you guys here, but I bought 10,000 of these a few years ago. In fact, it was one of our fabulous AATH members, Barb Grapstein, who has the biggest heart. I mean, talk about a virtual first responder. I can't think of anyone that does more to put out positivity constantly. She has a nonprofit called Healing Headbands, which is just does amazing things for people with cancer. I'm so blessed to be surrounded by people who do these things all the time, not just during crisis. And so I was inspired, actually, as part of my Humor Academy project with AATH. They have a 3-year training program where you can become a certified humor professional. And I am one of those, and try to incorporate that as much as I can. Paul's a master, Karen Buxman, Mary Kay Morrison. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Sporty, who I'm sure is here, who's also one of our stress mastery educators. So the quick story about this is that going through a time in my life when I knew I was spreading myself too thin, and I actually had a series of panic attacks that lasted for 2 weeks. I was in and out of the hospital, and I was traveling around the world. I had, started doing keynotes literally all around the world, and it was crazy to me because my 2 biggest fears were flying and public speaking, and here I was doing that, and I was exhausted, and I was not coping well. And these panic attacks started. And I got to that moment where I knew I was going to have to quit doing the work, but I didn't want to quit doing it, not because I loved the work, but I felt so called to this mission. And so I decided to commit to myself to start getting a massage once a week. And I still laugh about that because when I say that out loud, I always cringe because I think people must judge me harshly for being so self-indulgent. But the reality is, like, it was therapeutic for me, and more so even than talk therapy. I needed just my body to release the cortisol and the tension and the buildup. And I've been doing that now for, probably 12, 13 years. So when I was going through Humor Academy, and actually it was Jay, the fabulous Jay, who was doing her Humor Academy presentation around the same time as Beth Usher, who talked about a virtual first responder with an incredible story, my gosh. And I was so inspired by them, and I always loved monkeys. And so I had this idea to come up with a character that could kind of represent to me leading with love and humor and play, and that part of our brain that is the monkey mind that we call it, is actually one of the most beautiful parts of ourselves, but we have to tame it. We don't want to push it down and ignore that emotional, highly sensitive part of ourselves. So we want to love it and coddle it and like take it out of the cage and let it do what it needs to do. And so anyway, there's so much wrapped up into what this has become as kind of a symbol for me that every time I do a presentation, I always have one on the podium by the clock, so that when I look at the time, like I'm doing now, and I get kind of anxious because I want to make sure I end on time, that I'll just relax and focus on my heart and putting the positivity out there and try to have more fun, because then it always goes better. And so as the project was going along, Barbara Grapstein actually had found these little monkeys, and she sent me a link to where to get them. So I kept buying them out. And because I'd give them away after my talk, someone would come up and I could tell that they were stressed or dealing with anxiety, and I would give them away. So I found the company and actually ended up buying 10,000 of them, because I had to buy 10,000 in order to put a hang tag on it with my little Melvin the Monkey logo. So I did. And the website of just a website I created to share healthy humor. And so here's the funny story, and I realize this is getting turning into a long story, so I'll wrap it up here. When my husband and I had recently gotten married, and we were moving some things around in the garage, and I was unpacking boxes, and he said, what are those boxes? And I said, well, those are my stress monkeys, my Melvin monkeys. And he said, wait, all of those boxes that look like that are monkeys? And I said, yeah, I told you I bought 10,000 of them. And he said, well, I didn't think you were serious. Like, people say I bought 10,000. You really bought 10,000. And we hauled those things around. And, I don't know how long it's been now, maybe 5 years. They're almost gone, because I have presentations I've done for major financial services companies where we actually passed them around on trades and gave them out to the women who were there to inspire them to take good care of themselves. So that's what it's become for me, is kind of this cue or reminder that we really can only serve others when we have the energy we need. And as Jill Bolte Taylor so wisely says in her TED Talk and in her book, My Stroke of Insight, we have to be responsible for the energy we bring to the space that we're in, to the time that we're in. People, that is way more contagious than any virus, disease, disorder. So I just really, as we get ready to wrap up, want to encourage everybody. This first discussion is just the starting place. And as the week kind of unfolded, it became so clear to me that this first discussion has to be, what are we doing to put our oxygen mask on first? And what do we need from each other to help make us accountable? I'm tired, and I cringe a little bit at the text back and forth between those of us in the space right now of like, well, how early did you wake up? I won't even say it. I'm not even going to. As tempted as I am to say what time I woke up yesterday and started working, I'm not even going to say it, because it's not a badge of honor. It's something we have to stop. And this is not going away anytime soon. And on that note, what I said 2 days ago on the mental health webinar is the anxiety and high intensity energy that we feel right now has a natural oscillation. So we are all going to go through a bit of fatigue and depression and burnout, and certainly, especially our healthcare warriors. So I'm so glad, Donna, that you are doing that. Tell us, before we finish all of this, how people can get involved and help.
At this point in time, we just wanted to create this groundswell of support. Let our healthcare workers know they are loved, that we're grateful, that we see them,
Yes.
And that they are so appreciated. And I know they're not doing it for that, but when we unite as a community in those things, that sense of energy like elevates all of us. And so, make your sign. I pulled your sign up. I was looking for mine. I've been keeping it on my desk.
I should probably I have Melvin with me here. Even better.
Put somebody's name on it if you'd like. It would be great. If you wanted, Paul, put your sister's name on it.
Yeah, I'll make one.
And then just put it online and let everyone know just how much we appreciate it. I am taken by the recent images from both Canada, I think Chicago. I don't live in a high-rise city, right? So like all the high-rise people coming out and just applauding and screaming, and I just think there's just this wonderful sense of energy and connection that really does stimulate. I've learned a lot from you, Heidi, that stimulates our brains in the most possible way, right? And so that's
what we're doing. And so that makes all of us, no matter what we're doing, virtual first responders. And, we think about that. Those people are out there, Dr. Rice and Life Wellness Institute and all the people just over the harbor are responding to my texts. And we had to go pick up a prescription for some ongoing medication. And John drove over and had to call them so they could take it out to his car. I mean, it is a whole new normal right now. And so I really want to encourage everyone to do that. Please take a picture, take a selfie, have someone, if you're close to someone, not too close, take a picture for you, write some name.
And Heidi, if I might, I saw Robert made a comment on here too, that what Donna's doing to express gratitude to the healthcare workers is very helpful and to them, but also to us as individuals. Like anytime we express gratitude, it helps relax and de-stress ourselves, and that's okay. Or feeling like you're doing something. to be honest, when I talked about making my video, really it was like an inward look of like, well, what am I good at? What can I contribute? And can I do something to make other people feel good? Yeah. And in that, it makes me feel good, which is okay. Like that's fine. So it's kind of neat that it is reciprocal with when we do this. So.
And can I just, on that note, we are going to wrap now because I know everyone's time is precious as well, so we can manage our energy. But Paul, I'm so glad you said that, because not only is that Robert said, because I was like, there's two Roberts in my life who would point that out. One is Robert, who is married to my dear friend Sheva Carr, and they are trainers at Heart Math, and they are hosting Facebook Lives, and they're providing free Heart Math coaching calls for anyone who wants to talk to somebody about how to use the power of the heart to heal. I'll make sure that we share that as well. They are extraordinary, beautiful people. In fact, Sheva spoke at our AATH conference in Phoenix about healthy humor in the heart, which is awesome. But it wasn't that Robert. It was the other Robert Brooks. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Robert is an amazing thought leader, writer, psychologist on raising resilient kids. He's been on the Global Stress Summit with me before. He has spoken for EO and YO and all YPO and those groups. Robert, I think you're in Boston still, but he is also going to join our Global Stress Summit. So let me just end with that for you guys. The Global Stress Summit has been planned for April 18th. This is the 4th year that I'm doing it. I do it every year. I do it in different ways each time. The plan this year was I really wanted people to connect deeply. And so we were going to stream it live, but we were also going to have these connection hubs in different cities. We actually had them planned for around the globe. We had San Diego, Detroit, Sarasota, Boston, and then we had Sydney, Australia, Johannesburg, South Africa, and London. And I was so excited by this, and then everything happened. So obviously we're not doing those connection hubs the same way. But what it's allowed us to do now is have more people, because we were limited to starting at 8 in the morning and ending at 8 at night. Now we don't have to do that anymore. So we are collecting those interviews. I have more and more people. And in fact, they're not, I should say this, they're not interviews. A couple of them will be, and a couple of them will be live. Robert Brooks is going to do one for us again on raising resilient kids. But just to give you guys a quick update, especially since most of you are in the virtual first responders group or the stress mastery educators, the live sessions that have been confirmed from 8 to 9 Pacific time will be Evian Gordon with myself. I'm going to do a special tribute to my late mentor, Bruce McEwen, who passed away earlier this year. And then Evie and I are going to take that conversation on to talk about our new stress and the brain model. At 9 o'clock Pacific time, we have a very special guest, Dr. Stephen Porges, who will be joining me also live. Because he has so much presentation content out there already, we're going to have links to a lot of that for you to view, but our conversation will be much more an interview style, and we're going to encourage you to submit questions ahead of time as well so I can get those answered. At 12 o'clock Pacific time, we are going to have a Healthy Humor for Resilience panel, and we're still confirming one potential last person, but we have, basically, we're bringing the band back from a podcast that we recently did. So Karen Buxman, Paul Ossenkup, Ed Dunkelblau, Melissa Mort, Chip Lutz, and maybe we'll have one more person in there depending on his availability. And then in the evening, to be confirmed, sometime probably between 3 and 6 Pacific time, we're going to have my dear friend, Dr. Michael Bruce, who is the sleep doctor. He just taught our module on sleep for our Harvard course, and I've seen him a million times. I just cannot get enough. He is so extraordinary when it comes to sleep, and he is so funny. He's going to open us up with a highlight reel like you've never seen of him talking about sleep and mattresses and beds and sleeping habits with people like Oprah and Dr. Oz. It is hysterical. So that's going to be a powerful day and a powerful weekend. Like Eric said that they're doing with their summit, with the coronavirus series, we are planning to try to just make this free for everyone for all time. So that's what we're busy on right now, is just trying to make sure that we have the sponsorship or grant funding to produce it. The last few I've done it at a loss financially, and I just do it because I love it, but not sustainable. So I think we'll be fine. We have so many people rallying around this right now. I don't think it'll be a problem. So much more will be added. That link is globalstresssummit.com. Sammy's hardworking at making sure that all the new experts are being added there. We've got a whole team kind of working on getting all of that put together. And I'll just mention too, I will share this. It's so funny. A very good friend of mine, Susan Bailey, who lives in the Detroit area, she and I have worked together at DTE Energy for many years, building a energy management program for personal energy. And she just started making these shirts, these Do Love shirts. And I bought one in gray the other day to just, kind of support what she was doing. And then I saw there was a red one. I was like, well, I bought 5 of them. I didn't even know who I was buying them for yet, but I bought one for Sammy, and I bought one for my mom, and I bought one for my friend Jennifer. And I was like, one for Donna. Donna, you got it. I do that. I find something I love and I just buy 5. And then when I run out, I just buy 5 more. So I happened to wear it on a media interview the other day, and I'm like, man, more people are going to want this, especially right now. So we'll make sure to post that link once I track it down as well. Susan, if you're with us, you can share. Otherwise, we'll be sure to do that. So I just want to make sure for you guys, I really try not to go over time. Any kind of closing thoughts? Paul, you have anything that you want to say or share?
Just that humor, it's okay to be distracted by and to use humor during this time. It is, our brains can't really deal with trauma and humor at the same time. So any chance that you get to take a moment and distract yourself or reframe or whatever is a moment you're not experiencing the anxiety or the trauma or whatever else is going on. So indulge, it's okay. It's a good coping mechanism.
Thank you so much, because I think a lot of us fight that battle of like, is it too soon? Is it okay? Am I minimizing people's experience? And so that's really important. And it also reminds me, we'll share with everyone at the summit the link to the stress mindset survey. This is another thing I started before all this happened, but we're specifically looking at humor application in that survey to see how humor, we call it application, and anyway, I don't need to go through all the details, but anyway, there's some really interesting things there, and we're going to be publishing the research on a humor mindset and what actually goes into that. So
awesome.
I would love everyone to support that. And Donna, let me just say one other thing. One of the most extraordinary experiences in my life last year was sitting on the couch with you and Dr. Edith, and I would love to just give her a shout out, because I can't keep up with everything, but she's here in La Jolla, and I know she is streaming virtually and giving people support, and just what a blessing she is. Her book is The Choice. I read it. I bought it for everyone I know. So I don't know, maybe in the kind of theme of Dr. Edith, any last thoughts from you?
Yeah, she just did something recently, and it felt just so good to see her. First of all, I want to thank you in the spirit of gratitude for inviting me to join you, Paul. Eric Z, I can't tell you what this has done for me. And it's funny because that feels selfish, right? But and I will say this, to bring it all full circle, the reason I reached out to Heidi this morning is because Heidi did this amazing presentation on humor. And we have this program called Refresh. We all need to refresh. We do it every couple of months, but like in this period in time, we said, let's relaunch it. We'll do it every week. Refresh our spirit, refresh our minds, refresh our connections. And we thought the best way that we can refresh is to launch with, we all got to laugh. And that's why I reached out to you this morning. If you would spend some time, because I honestly think we have to laugh.
Yeah.
Paul, everything you just said, the humor. And I learned so much. I remember sitting in the back of the theater, taking notes and saying, I'm laughing and it's good for me and it's great for all of us. So I would just leave with this tremendous sense of gratitude. Thank you for featuring our gratitude to the greater world, but for being with both of you and the work that you do. It has positively and enduringly had a great impact on us.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you guys.
Nice meeting you, Donna.
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't be the end of our conversation for sure. And for everyone who's joined us as well, watching this, whether it's live or you're watching the recording or someone shared it with you, we'll make sure we get this posted with all of those links. I know we threw a lot at you in a short period of time. For those of you who want to get involved, obviously there's a lot of different ways you can do that. We also want to support you if you need any assistance. So we'll have those resources for you as well. Just give it a little bit of time. I'm going to stay true to my commitment to take the weekend off. It was going to be a day, but you know what? It's going to be a weekend and we all deserve a weekend. So I always am better at doing that when I make myself accountable. And so now I'm accountable. So it's coming. We will let you know. We will actually be starting an official fast track training program right after the summit. So April 20th. Some of you have already applied for that. Some of you that know me, I'll post the link here as well. So if you know already like that's something you want to do, we'll make sure you get that information. Just give us a little bit of time to get all the details buttoned up. But as you can tell, this is going to be an extraordinary movement and we get to leave a better footprint as a result of doing all of this together. So thank you again. We will come back and share more very soon. And I love you guys. Thank you for being here.